What's up? What it is? What's going on? Mic check. 1, 2. Need to be more consistent. That's what I need to do because there are times when I know I need to record and come in here and tell people about what's going on in my life. Some people care, some people don't, but I think it's helpful for me to at least let people know what's going on. They'll be asking, you know, Elijah, how was your day? What was going on with you? And then I can just point them here, so I don't have to repeat myself so often, right? But this week was good. I'm gonna go all the way back to um, what up, Chicago Rilla. I'm gonna go back all the way to last Friday since I did something last Thursday. Like this week was good for me, therapeutic as well as rewarding. Um, lessons were learned. You know what I'm saying? Um, about myself and about other people. Now I count myself as a person that is able to discern other people. It's a gift that I was given, and I try to use it as often as possible. What up, Mama? Appreciate you coming out. Love you very much. Looking forward to our um, continued conversations on building. You know what I'm saying? Mom came out to help your boy out. Um, uh, and it was good. Like my mind was, clear. Being able to get some things done. Um, Matter of fact, she helped me remember to go get one of my kids. You know that was very helpful. Even though people call me and let me know, hey, are you coming to get her? I'll be there. I just, you know, I forgot. That's what's up, Chicago Rilla. Listen, I didn't know what that was about, man. Listen, I argue based on facts and logic, you know, and I count myself as one of the best debaters in the game. Right when you start to call me names, and I won. Right, that's really what it is. So going back to Friday, last Friday, you know, I I had some things that I needed to do. I had wrote down a list of what I was going to get done, and what ended up happening was I ended up forgetting one of my kids at school because I had wrote down on my list, or it was something that was not on my list that I had did, and so as a result, I literally forgot that I needed to go pick up one of my kids, and I mean it was crazy. I felt really bad because it's never happened to me before. Then I started telling people, not everybody, but I told some people, my homies, it was like, oh yeah, that happened to me before. I say, what? This is a thing? Like parents be forgetting their kids in certain places? Yeah. The person that I reached out to go get, one of my kids, it was like, oh yeah, I did that yesterday. So I didn't know it was a thing because it never happened to me before, and it didn't even make me feel better because I was a part of the crowd, right? But nevertheless, that happened, and we was able to get her to where she needed to be. And then later on that day, my oldest, she had a science fair um, event, and that was really cool. I was very very proud of her and her success. She did a study on how much salt does it take to float in the in the Dead Sea, or just salt in general, and she did all the work pretty much by herself. Um, and I said, this looks like a mini dissertation because she had all the elements that were needed for to write for a dissertation, to write a paper. And she told me that she was she wished that, you know, her mother was here, and I understood, and that broke my heart, you know, for her for that. But she said that she was really proud of her own work, and she said she did the best that she could. She knew that she wasn't going to win because of all the other people in their experiments, right? And so that was my that's what I remember about Friday, right? You know, sometimes you just can't remember everything that you did, so I tried to write down some of the things that I recall from that day. And then Saturday, it was an early morning. We woke up, I don't know, probably about 7, something like that, 7 or 8, and we had to get ready to go to a party at one of our friends. They have a forum. Shout out to the Seminoles. And so we went out there, hung out there for a little bit. There was they have several different animals, and my kids love going out there. And you know, I see Mike, and he said, "Hey man, you been working out?" You know, that made me feel good when he said that. You been working out? Hey, listen, can you tell? I appreciate that, right? And so the conversation is always good, you know. So my like I said, my kids enjoy going out there because they get to see the animals and get to play on like these 4 acres and run all the way around the acreage. And that was good that they got to do that, because they don't always get to go outside the house, even though we got a backyard. I mean, they can go out, but they choose not to at times, right? And so then later on that, like about a couple minutes, we stayed there about a couple hours, sorry, and we went to Joshua's basketball game. He's learning how to play basketball, and I talked to him about it. He was like, "Listen," he didn't say "listen," but that's what I thought. That's how it seemed. I said, "Which sport you like best?" He was like, "Because he's an athlete." He says, "I like baseball. It seems to be more me." I said, "That's cool." But he's a really hard worker when it comes to playing basketball. So that was cool. They was winning, and then all of a sudden they was not winning, right? And they took it hard, but they're learning to play with each other and play a game that is very challenging, you know. So and that's very commendable. And so then later on that evening, took one of my not one of mine took a my lady friend on a date to see my brother Titus Glenn, see him in performance in Cinderella theater. It was at the Uptown Theater in Grand Prairie, Texas. Shout out to them for putting on shows for actors and actresses to hone in on their skills. There was a situation that was very challenging to sit through, but I mean, if you was there, you know, right? And me and my date, man, listen, we just could not stop laughing at a particular part in the show. But overall, it was a good show. My brother played the king. He had a singing part, and because he can sing, or he thinks he can sing, you know what I'm saying? He only have about 4,000 or 5,000 albums, you know. My dad reached over and says, "Can you sing?" I'm like, not as good as him. You know, I'll probably be able to hold a tune or two, you know, a note, if you will, maybe a C note for sure. Right. So that was fun to get out and hang out and to support my brother and the rest of the crew. Then, you know, Sunday go to church, got convicted based on some information that I had received that I needed to work on myself and how I kind of view other people. You know, it's important for me to live a life in which Christ would be pleased of, because if not, then if I'm not doing that, then people are not going to, people see Christianity in a different way, right? And I mean, I make mistakes for sure. I mean, that goes without saying. And so, but I don't want to ever present myself as if I don't sin and I don't struggle with some sins. You know, matter of fact, today I was telling my kids, I struggle with some sins. You know, there are some things that are very challenging for me, and that's why it's hard for me as a parent to figure out, okay, how am I supposed to disciple this flawed person. I'm a flawed person. Well, but I'm instructed to give them the guidance and more importantly, not just tell them, but also show them what it looks like. And so I was talking to Ethan. He's like, "That's confusing. What do you mean?" And I was like, "Do you think Daddy don't sin?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't think that you do." And I was like, nah, bro, that's furthest from the truth. You know, I'm sure I sin. I would say every day in some regard. In some regard, I sin every day, and I ask for forgiveness and try to repent every day, and that's a part of the Christian journey. And so I was convicted as I went to church, and and then trying to turn over the leaf of understanding who I am as a person, but also respecting other people. And that's the one thing that I thought I was doing, but it didn't come across as such. So as the individual that is trying to communicate that, then I need to do a better job in communicating that. It is the job of the communicator to make sure that they are understood. Okay. And so sometimes there is a misunderstanding, but at the end of the day, there should be a reasonable understanding of what that person is trying to convey, right? And so then later that evening, I ended up going to I think it's Brian's. Could I repeat what? Could I repeat what? Not sure what I said. I just know maybe about what I was learning. I was learning that I need to do a better job of communicating that I love people. Yeah, that I love people. Not necessarily forgiveness. Like I forgive people. I think is that I don't communicate forgiveness well. Um, I think that sometimes, and when I'm trying to talk, it seems as if I don't have sins, and I'm not, and I don't want to give that perception of that I don't sin, and so so there may be another way that I'm gonna have to approach conversations. And for those that are on Facebook, you can always go over on. It'll be good for you to go on YouTube as well, so that it helps out with the algorithm when you press the like button. More people will be aware of this video. And so I'm trying to build my subscribers. Obviously, I want to try to get to at least 1,000. Within the next 3 months. I would say before summer. So help me out with that. Just go over onto YouTube and click the like button and share it and subscribe and tell your friends to do the same. All right. So nevertheless, went out to Brian's. I think it's like a jazz theater type atmosphere. I had a dessert because I had already eaten. Everybody else had some type of food. They said that it was good. Got to dance and things like that. Was there with my mom and my aunts and my little brother, and got to cut a rug. For those that don't know what cut a rug is, that means to dance. And your boy can. You know what I mean? Some people don't know that, but that's okay. All right. I'm able to do several different things. I just sit back in the cut most of the time. Why? I have no idea. Maybe that's the thing I need to work on. And so, one of the things of many things that I need to work on. And so, had fun there. Came back to the house, went to sleep. Woke up, and on Monday, I went to have a meeting with my pastor and the team at Cross City about having a humble dad, workshop. And then we talked about it, and it came down to saying, like, listen, instead of doing a 2-day event, let's do a 1-day event, and then let's make it let's streamline it to be about dads and their kids having fun together. And I was like, okay, that ain't what I wanted, but that makes sense to me, right? That makes sense to me. And so we're looking at June 17th, 2022, to that what is that? That's that Father's Day weekend, to have, I would call it, a humble dad fun day, where kids and their dads can come out and just have fun, whether it's basketball, foosball, pool table, board games, all that jazz, and eat, and then have a panel discussion. Dads and kids get to ask, some experienced dad questions, and then more fun. And then we'll have Jason Earls. That's who we're working on. So we should be getting Jason Earls to be the comedy keynote speaker, if you will. So that was good. That was exciting. Things are working on in my favor on that. And then Tuesday, I'm sure there was a lot of things going on Tuesday. I have all my kids here on Tuesday. Right, I have all my kids here on Tuesday, and sometimes it had been overwhelming. It had been overwhelming, but I've figured out a schedule, and so that's been what I've been doing. But on Tuesday evening, or Tuesday, me and G, we cooked dinner. It was okay. It was like pork chops and something. It was literally okay. It wasn't our best dish, and we was pretty disappointed in that because we aim high. You know what I mean? We want to be like chefs in this piece. All right. And so, but anyway, so that was cool. And then later on that evening, for those that don't know, I'm on the Lapeef Network King Talk, and man, I am so appreciative of how I was raised, and then being able to go to the college that I went to and the fraternity that I was in, to know how to ask questions as well as have a thick skin, as well as being able to have these comebacks, because I am a little bit more soft-spoken than I was before Christ. People take it as if I'm a soft dude when it comes to things like that. And I was called, like, what was called soft shoeing, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm getting name call. Like, that's gonna throw me off my game, and then don't. I'm gonna just hit you with these facts, and they're gonna hit you in your feelings, and that's what it's gonna be, right? Like your feelings can't trump facts, when. And so the conversation got heated, but for me, I was cool. I understand when people don't like my style or like me as an individual, but as long as I'm standing on truth and the word of God, then you can't really mess with me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. And so I'm cool with having arguments and conversations about things that pertain to whatever. I typically like to talk about things that are of value and that there is some substance and things that can be changed, because I would say that I'm a thinking man. That's one of the things that my mom taught me, is to ask questions, and if I don't understand, then I need to ask. And so as that has transpired and kind of rolled over into me being very analytical, to a fault sometimes, and so therefore I sometimes overthink. But if we're in a conversation, then you need to have all your ducks in a row if you're going to have a conversation with me about whatever it is you think is right. And so that was a conversation that I had with a guy on the panel, and it got kind of heated, but I think that I held my own, and I just spoke facts, and hopefully he understood where I was standing. And just because what I learned is that people, I already know this, but it was reconfirmed that people don't like you not doing what they want to do. People don't like if you don't do what they want you to do. Right? And so I'm not a follower in the sense of, if you're doing something dumb or it don't make sense to me, or it may be a good idea, but I'm just not with it. I'm not gonna follow you just because everybody else think you dope. That ain't how I roll, right? That's also I've never been that person that just falls in line because, and it's unfortunate that people don't really deep dive into why somebody when they're talking, did they double talk? Did they just say something that contradicted what it is that they just said? Did they contradict what they just said? And most people don't really listen to that. They listen to the intenseness or the passion in which somebody is talking. That's why that charismatic type of speaker is able to convey to people that they actually are of substance. When in fact, they're just giving you a lot of words that equal to a sentence, to a paragraph, to a meaningless bunch of nothing. However, when you hear me talking or people like me talk, I'm not going to be charismatic in that sense. I'm going to be talking to you in a tone in which I want you to hear my words, because the tone doesn't determine if I have value in my words. My words and how I put them together do. And so I learned that. I also learned that a person that tries to go at you a couple of times and then they apologize, but they did it more than once, they meant what they said in the beginning. And so I'm cool with that. I have no issues with that. Right? I just know where you at. And so that's what I learned. And I've learned that before, but it kind of reinforced it because I hadn't been in a space where people don't necessarily like me. They may not like what I said, but not liking me. I haven't had that in a while, I would say. Because I've changed. If you ask the people that know me from back in the day, you would hear that I have changed dramatically because I actually care about what people think, and I also want to be able to convey my point and my thought across in a way that shows them that I care about them and ultimately their salvation, and that I want the best for people. And so I don't really sugarcoat my words, even though sometimes I need to choose those words better based on my audience. I get that, but that's a challenge for me. I appreciate that. And so the other thing, so that was Tuesday, and I was really frustrated. I was really frustrated. And so but if I would have been listening just a tad bit better, there was no need for me to really, really get too frustrated, because I know that what I was saying made sense, and probably I wasn't doing a good job of listening to make sure I understood their perspective. I thought I did understand their perspective, and so I was responding to it, but in the moment, I was somewhat defensive, probably. That's what I'm thinking. I was probably defensive to a degree, but I did win the argument. I don't know what that is about. That I like winning, and if we're going to debate, I'm definitely trying to win. All right. But I digress. And then on Wednesday, it was a conversation with my kids about honesty. And one of those things was that, just to be transparent, I was having them, write in their journal about their mom passing away. Not about passing away, but like memories that they had with her before she passed away. And they were saying that they was doing it, but they hadn't been doing it. Right. And so I found that out, and they got in trouble, and they was bothered by getting in trouble. And I said, well, the reason why you're getting in trouble is because you lied about it. Yes, I'm very competitive. Very competitive. Not as much as I was. That's just the understanding the value of winning and losing. And so I had to talk to somebody to kind of help me see my blind spots and what it is that I was not seeing. That particular technique was a suggestion, but it wasn't something that I had to do. And so for me, I'm trying to make sure that my kids are well. Okay, I'm sorry, that's not a club badge for those that may think that that's a badge for me going to the museum. And so I was like, okay, let me check that. Let me see if that makes sense. And so I talked to my kids and asked them about their perspective of writing in their journal. And what was explained to me from their perspective was that they don't like to be forced to do it. They just want to be able to do it whenever they think about it. And my oldest, she was like, I talk about mom all the time. Like, isn't that similar to me writing in my journal? Like, I bring her up all the time. That's how I remember her. And I was like, okay, wisdom. Okay. And duly noted. So I said, you know what? That's what we'll do. Whenever you feel like it, if you want to, then do that. I'm not going to be the person that manages that, but please be honest about your emotions, and feel free to come talk to me, or say you need to go talk to somebody else. Okay. Or even if you don't say that, please talk to an adult about what it is on your mind, so that if help is needed, then I can get you that. Because as a dad, that's what I'm supposed to do for you. I'm supposed to be helping you move along in this journey. And I don't know what it's like to lose a mom, right? I only know what it's like to lose a wife. And that's one pointed out that you can get another wife, they can't get another mom. And I was like, man, that's heavy. That's really heavy. And so I want to make sure that that my heart is in the right place when I'm conveying to them uh, during the journey of them losing their mom. So that was very good. That was a good conversation on Wednesday. Thursday, I was able to to help someone a little bit. I was able to help them a little bit with some things that they needed help with, right? And and so and that was good for me because I got to help somebody in one of my skill sets, and so I was able to bring value to that person, and that's what people need to be doing, especially the body of Christ, right? You need to be finding out what is it that you do well, and how can you use that to help somebody else. Okay, and it's not always going to be a reward as a tangible thing, but a thank you goes a long way. You help somebody. You may be able to cook, you may be able to clean, you may be able to give suggestions and feedback, and whatever your profession is, you may be able to just help somebody move closer to their goal just by you extending the hand that that God has given you. And so that was helpful. Then that was last night, and then I went on the Peace Network again. I appreciate JR reaching out to me and asking me to come on. Very eventful night. Ups and downs, highs and lows. I think that's the same thing, right? And then again I got called. I was simping last night because I was agreeing, or not agreeing. I understood what Kay was saying, right? I had asked her a question. I can't remember the actual question. Had asked her a question. I think it was about money. Yeah, I think it was about money. Would you date somebody that made less than you? And she didn't give me a yes. She gave me something else. Okay. And so I understood her answer. However, Anton disagreed with how I responded. Right. Which is okay. You can do that. And so that went off the rails. And then I asked a question such as, what do you teach? And she told me what she taught. And I said, okay. I said, do you teach with a rubric? Because if she taught with a rubric, I was like, okay, I understand why she answers how she answers. And for me, okay, now I can figure out I have to, sometimes I may have to infer if she doesn't give me a direct answer. And but anyway, so he was like, you must teach special ed or something. And then the cast started some of the panel started laughing. And I'm like, that's not funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need special ed teachers, right? Special ed teachers are their job is more hard than a regular teacher's job. Because I was a special ed teacher for a year, and my class wasn't big, but it was a challenge to teach these kids. It doesn't mean that they're not smart. They just learn slower than other people, right? And so, you know, that was a tough moment in last night's conversation. However, we moved to some other conversations that were hilarious, like a guy saying that he was cool being a side dude, and then he was it was funny. Like, I don't understand why you. Well, I guess I do once I learned about more of it. Why it would be okay to be a side dude if you was in that type of space. But me, uh, I'm not a side dude type of guy. I enjoy being in a relationship, for whatever reason. Okay. And so it was very funny. I mean, that set went on for at least 20 to 30 minutes. And so I appreciate that time to hang out and talk about relationships and what that entails. Those that are in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship understand that um, if you're going to be in a relationship, you need to be honest. You need to be honest. A person shouldn't have to figure out if you're being honest. That's too much work. It doesn't make any sense, right? And why would you want to be dishonest going into a relationship just to get that person anyway? Because it's going to be found out. Lies come to surface. And so that's what I understood, that the current generation dismisses traditional style courting or dating because it's old, not because it actually worked, but just because it's old. That's what it seems like. Because the current way in which people date doesn't lead to marriage. Right? If it did, then more people, like a higher percentage, especially in the Black community, would be getting married. Another thing, in my opinion, this is not facts. This is just my opinion. Women, if you're going to college, when you go to college, you should be looking for a husband. You should be ready to be married, though. Don't get me wrong. Okay, you should be preparing yourself for marriage and looking. Well, not looking like that, but be prepared to find your husband in college, because you want to be able to build with someone, not already be with somebody that got it, because the relationship is different. It's a little bit different when two people already have something. They sometimes look at it as if they have a lot to lose, and so they may approach the situation a little different, the relationship a little bit different. Not everybody, but I'm just saying, it's a thing to consider. And that you may not find that person. That's not what I'm saying that you are, but uh, oftentimes I don't think that men or women uh, look to be, well, in certain cultures, I say, don't look to be married going to college. And I think that you should, in my opinion, that you should look or be prepared. Why? Because it limits the opportunities for temptations sexually. Um, it also reduces the amount of relationships that you will be in, and trying to figure out, okay, I'm gonna date 3-4 people at a time every 6 months, and now you're like, okay, is this person the one? Is this other person the one? when in fact, in my estimation, that you should just, if you getting yourself together mentally, spiritually, then you're ready to be married. Then that God will find you, and y'all can build together. It's nothing like, you know, being in a relationship and building together. Okay, because y'all have a commonality that binds you together. You feel me? And then today went to the museum with my boys. That was good, man. Like, went to the science museum in Fort Worth, and then met a homegirl, that a teacher homegirl that I I taught at. Excuse me. I taught in my first middle school when I came to taught with in my first middle school when I came to DFW, and my last school that I taught in DFW of teaching. And she blessed us with, uh, some money to eat lunch. You know what I mean? And so I didn't have to pay for lunch today. Right now, that's not gonna always happen, but if it did, I might be cool with it. Right. And so that was my day. And so the day's not over, but that's what's going on in this week's life of Humble Dad. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, tell other people about it as well. This is going to be, a good day, as well as it's going to be a good rest of the month. And for all those that are taking note, my dissertation, probably defending it sometime in March. And graduation ceremony will be sometime in October. And I am excited, right? I'm excited. One of my episodes, I might just sit in my robe and hat and just have a conversation. For sure. Well, without further ado. Well, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, my week has been good. Learning, growing. Started my Humble Dad Wear ad campaign, as well as my real estate campaign, to get my business back up and going. And we're about to do this. Absolutely. It's going to be a good day. It is a song. Yeah. It's a couple of them. A lovely day. And so until then, we out here.